Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic.
Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today we're at the lamp bench with what should be a simple, straightforward lamp rewire job, but with one complication. And that complication, as usual, is some previous repair. Now the story on this is the customer has your basic ceramic jug decorator lamp. Nothing too unusual about it. People buy it because they think they're pretty. They think they'll go with the decor in their house. But he's out one day and he sees another one just like the one he has at home. The base is a little different, but everybody understands that a pair of lamps is better than one lamp, so he gets it. On the way home, the base sort of collapses and falls off, and that's where the story starts. Now, a lot of lamp repair stories end tragically because a big round jug like this is kind of difficult to hold on to. So I always have some kind of a fixture. In this case, a couple of 2x4s that I have cut a circle out of that fits the top and the bottom of the lamp, and a little bit of carpet padding underneath it. Keeps it nice and steady, so I don't have to worry about rolling off the bench or slipping while I'm working on it. And here we see the issue. The original base of the lamp was broken away, and someone tried to repair it. If we zoom in close, first thing we see is that the cord is stuck. There's no clearance, there's no way to get it in, get it out. Plus, this is ceramic, nice and hard. This is plaster. So someone tried to repair a broken ceramic piece with just plaster, which I suppose in some circumstances that might work, but in this one it obviously didn't. It looks like the plaster came all the way up to here on the glaze, making some kind of a flared out foot, but once it was completely cured and in use, obviously it just all flaked off. Now the challenge here is to get this wire free so I can replace it without damaging the ceramic or the plaster. Another chip right here could split this whole thing apart and make this job pretty much over. If the rest of this plaster collapses and falls apart, that makes this job a lot bigger. Now, the obvious solution would seem to be a drill, but the whole essence of power tools is that you trade power for control. So for this one, I'm going to go with something a little more subtle. This is the egg beater drill. I'm using it with a fluted bit. It's just got these two flutes up the side. It's probably the gentlest drill bit ever made. And it's called an egg beater because it resembles old kitchen gadget egg beaters, which had a crank just like this. But it will go through, and we'll hope that the plaster is not so thick that this bit won't go all the way to the top. There we go. That's not too far in there. Now a little bit of artful sculpting will let me open this up a little bit. Now this part of the job, what I was worried the most about, turned out to be a lot easier than I thought it might be. Now this is a short pipe lamp, which of course implies the existence of a long pipe lamp, which is the most common kind. It basically has a pipe that runs from the base up to the socket. And the short pipe lamp, and that's usually ceramic jug type lamps like this, is that what you have is just a short pipe which is fastened up at the top at the neck. And so you don't have a pipe that goes all the way down to the base. And that makes rewiring this type of lamp just a little bit more complicated than it might be otherwise. Now, first thing I notice here is that I don't have an underwriter's knot. Now I'll speak more about that later, but that little knot right there keeps this cord from being pulled out of the socket in case you trip over the cord or something. Now, you don't have to have one if you've got a knot down here at the bottom, which would catch it the same. So I very carefully pull this thing all the way up in here to make sure that there's not one inside the jug somewhere, which would greatly complicate the job. As it is, it turns out that someone in the past has wired this lamp improperly. Now, since I don't have access to the inside of the jug, I want to be very careful here that I don't drop this short pipe inside the jug, because there is nothing holding it in place. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a nut on here so that I can explore a better way to do this. Now the better way is to get this up and secure it with a clothespin so I can work on it. Take this piece off, and I see they've put a check ring underneath it as kind of a cushion, but I'm going to use rubber washers. I think rubber between two pieces of metal, or against ceramic in this case, is a much better choice. And I'll run this nut down. And before it gets all the way to the bottom, I've got blue thread lock, which is a kind of an adhesive compound. Once I tighten this down and get it seated nice and tight, is ordinary use like changing a light bulb or something, this won't come loose. Now the neck, the saddle, and a knurled nut here, a little more blue goo. Get all this tightened down, and I'm ready to address the problem of getting a new cord up through this from the bottom. Now the simplest way to pull a cord up through a short pipe lamp is to simply attach it to the old cord and pull it through. And how you attach it depends on how much trouble it's going to be if it comes loose on the inside. Now I could simply tape them together, but in this case, if it were to come apart up inside the jug, it would be a lot of work to try and somehow get it back connected again. So I'm going to use solder to connect them, and that way I can be pretty sure it's not going to come loose in any way. I only peel back one wire and cut that one with a slight angle so that it'll go a little smoother. Twist these together. I've got my soldering gun, let it heat up a little bit, and it won't take much solder on this. It's not an electrical connection, it's a mechanical connection. Give it a good tug, make sure that's not coming loose. Now I gently tug on this end and feed it through on the bottom, making sure that I don't snag it. And it comes all the way up. Nice and easy. For rewiring lamps, I prefer this kind of socket. which has a ring which attaches the top to the bottom. Much more reliable and durable than the standard snap together type. I'll put a little more blue thread sealer on there. And I always remember to put the ring on first. And this little notch always goes to the back. And there's a little screw in the neck that you could tighten down and will keep it in place and lined up. Now this is a cord set, which basically means it comes with a molded plug on the end of it. You got both wires joined together, and the ends are tinned. Now these are multi-stranded wires, which makes them flexible but won't kink. And National Electrical Code says that you can't put stranded wires under screw terminals. So to overcome that problem, there's a drop of solder on the end of each of these, turns these multi-stranded wires into one single wire. And since I clipped them off, I've got to recreate that. And I'll just strip this back. Pull this down. Now when I twist these wires, I grab them about halfway down so that I'm actually twisting the tip. And that ensures that I actually get a good twist. Because if you just grab it and start twisting it, you'll flatten out the end. And when you go to solder it, you're going to have these little whiskers sticking out, which would not give you a good solder joint. And it only takes a drop on the tip to serve the purpose. Now, I have to give the same sermon I give with every lamp rewire. This cord set has two wires. The insulation on one side has a ridge. Insulation on the other side is smooth. And before I wire it to the socket, I have to remake the underwriter's knot, which is this little pretzel here, which will ensure that if someone trips on the cord in the dark, they won't pull the wire down into that pipe, which would create an electrical hazard to somebody who goes to pick the lamp up. Now, the wire with the smooth insulation will always go to the brass colored screw. The wire with the ridged insulation will always go to the silver colored screw. This is the way they do it in North America. In Europe and Asia and other places like that, they have slightly different systems. But the whole purpose of that is to ensure that this wire, the one with the ridges, goes to the shell. And that is so that if you were to stick your finger into a light socket that doesn't have a bulb in it, and the lamp is plugged in, you won't get shocked just touching the shell. If the lamp was plugged in and the switch is on, you would have to go all the way to the inside and touch the center terminal, which I hope you wouldn't do that. The smooth wire goes on the brass. And we work the underwriter's knot up nice and tight. Pull this down. Get it down nice and snug. Well, this is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory. I appreciate you sitting through this video where we cleaned up some mistakes from the past. We'd really appreciate it if you would click the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments on lighting, lamps, chandeliers, any kind of furniture repair, I respond to all, and I really enjoy reading them. So, again, thank you for watching.